Live from Keene, New Hampshire, the most watched TV news show in Keene, the Keene Weekly News with Mark Edgington. Coverage of local and national events starts now.
Good evening. My name is Mark Edgington. This is the Keene Weekly News. Today is November the 16th, 2007. Thanks for watching. For those of you that are fooled by the intro, this is not in fact a news program. This is me reading the news, telling you what I think about it. So don't get thrown off. It's a little joke that I've got. First news story. It says lights, camera, resume action. Apparently Cheshire TV, which you're viewing right now, isn't going to be going away. According to the Keene Sentinel, Cheshire TV's first live broadcast of the Keene City Council Thursday night may not be its last. With 4 cameras rolling, City Manager John A. McLean announced he has hammered out a deal with Time Warner Cable that, if approved by the City Council and the Marlborough and Swansea Boards of Selectmen, would keep the station running. The proof is in the pudding, and I believe that you'll approve of the work, McLean told the council. McLean and Time Warner officials declined to comment further on the details of the agreement, but McLean said that they would be made public when the council's Finance, Organization, and Personnel Committee meets on November the 29th. We'll all be waiting with bated breath to hear about that, Mr. McLean. But it's excellent news. It's great. Good. I'm glad that Cheshire TV will be staying around. And if Mr. McLean was just to keep his little secret a secret until the 29th, I'm all for it. That's fine. Let's build up the drama, shall we? But I'd like to address the idea that Cheshire TV somehow is being forced upon the people of Keene. Now, Cheshire TV comes from a grant from Time Warner, who wishes to do business in town, and they therefore get the city council to, allow them to use their lines and that kind of thing. The right-of-way on the side of the road. So now there's a little bit on your bill for Cheshire TV. But it doesn't matter which package you have from Time Warner, whether you have the big package or the little package. You're paying something for just about every channel that you're watching. Now, I'll admit to you, likely QVC or the Home Shopping Network, likely they pay Time Warner and you don't have to, because, well, they're selling a bunch of stuff and they'd like you to buy it, so they're essentially just long commercials. But the rest of the stations, you're paying for those. Time Warner decides, just sort of to, out of a bit of petulance, to itemize the Cheshire TV amount, whereas they don't itemize the WMOR amount or the station WGN out of Boston or the other stations that, the myriad of stations that are there, that Entertainment and all that good stuff, Fox News and CNN. They don't itemize those for you. They do itemize Cheshire TV. So people have to look, and every month those that, us thrifty New Englanders, we look through our bill and say, what's this? This is for that little station that I never watch. And, some people do, some people don't. But if it would be great, it would be fantastic if cable companies did offer a la carte. That way I could just get ESPN and, well, what the hell else do I watch? Not much. Channel 8. Sometimes I watch WMOR. Yeah, that's about it. So I could buy a la carte those stations, and I wouldn't have to pay for things I don't watch, like Fox News, or sometimes I watch CNN. I guess it's not really fair to single them out, but I certainly never watch the Sci-Fi Channel. Not that I have anything wrong with science fiction. I read science fiction. I just don't care to watch the poorly produced programs that I see there. Either way, so all these stations, you pay for them. So you're no more being forced to purchase Cheshire TV than you are forced to purchase any of those other channels. So I don't think that that's really true or fair. If you don't want Cheshire TV, you can choose not to have Time Warner. There are other options. There's DirecTV, Dish Network. We have some options. You can take them. You're not being forced to watch Cheshire, or to pay for Cheshire TV. So that's inaccuracy. Whereas, let's talk about force for a second. You're forced to get your water from the Keene, the Keene Water Company. You have to. If you don't pay thousands, and I'm telling you, I was looking at building a house on North Lincoln Street, $20,000. Now, that's higher than most people would because I had to run sewage and water lines a little farther out. I had to expand their network, as it were, instead of just tapping into it. But it's still thousands of dollars to get a water meter and to hook up. Now, you don't have to buy the water, but you do have to buy the hookups. So that's force. If you don't do it, you can't have a house in Keene. You cannot purchase a house. Now that is force, whereas Cheshire TV, not force. Not force. I hope I've explained that sufficiently well. If you do try to build a house in Keene, here's the real force part. If you try to build a house in Keene, you purchase a piece of property and you build a house, and you say, I'm not putting in your hookups, I'm going to live here anyway, I don't need water, or I'm going to have a big tank at my house and I'm going to have somebody come and fill it up. I'm going to fill it up with rainwater. I don't need your hookups. You're going to get in big, big trouble from the city. They're going to try to, they're not going to give you an occupancy license. Then they're going to say you can't live there. And if you are living there, you must go to court. And we're going to send cops with guns to drag you out of your house. That's force. Okay? Cheshire TV, never going to send a guy with a gun to your house. Okay? Let's talk about guns some more. I like guns. Don't get me wrong. I think guns are fine in the hands of citizens. In the hands of the government, they scare me a bit. Okay, price of gasoline still on the rise. Some feeling the pinch. Before the Iraq War, reasonable gas prices. After the Iraq War, $3.34 for premium, unleaded. Before the Iraq War, reasonable. After the Iraq War, unreasonable. We saw oil for light sweet crude hit $100 a barrel recently. That means gas prices are higher. If we attack Iran, some experts say that light sweet crude, which we don't have a lot of here in the United States, or at least can't tap into because of, laws against drilling here, although it's okay to drill over there. Light sweet crude could go to $200 a barrel if we attack Iran. Now, I'm not convinced that we haven't already had forays into Iran. I'm sure when we were sitting here, instead of 2007, when we were sitting here in 1967, that people thought, well, we're fighting a war in Vietnam. Well, in fact, we were fighting a war in Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, and all kinds of other, and we even went into China. I'm not convinced that we haven't been in Iran yet, but if we make a full-out foray into Iran, you can expect these gas prices to double. $6 a gallon. You'll think you're in Europe. It's so much. People will be riding bicycles to work. And when gas prices go up, everything goes up. Because you know how they get those vegetables to the store? They drive them on trucks. That's right. You know how they get, everything. Anything you purchase. All that stuff at Walmart, it didn't just magically appear. It came on trucks. And it's not just Walmart, it's the little stores too. You go down to downtown and you hit that Mo women's shop there. Yep, all her dresses delivered on trucks that burned gasoline. So those manufacturers need to figure that cost into her cost. She needs to figure her cost into your cost. Everything you buy will cost more if we invade Iran. And what will we get if we invade Iran? Not a damn thing. What did we get out of Iraq? Nothing. Nothing. I haven't seen anything out of it. I've paid for it. The numbers are at something like close to $2 trillion, with a T, trillion dollars. What have I purchased with that? Nothing. Some people would say, your freedom's been defended by the military. Exactly how was my freedom threatened before we invaded Iraq? How? I know some people will link it into that 9/11 terrorism thing, which I haven't seen any conclusive evidence of that Iraq had anything to do with 9/11. I have heard Republican talk show hosts say, oh yeah, it was linked, really. But I haven't seen any real links. And I've seen a lot of links disproven. Anyway. Local news. Judge doubts basis, not that gasoline isn't local news. Judge doubts basis of new voter data law. Apparently, a Merrimack County judge said Thursday that she is struggling to understand the basis for a new law that allows the state to sell detailed voter information to only the major political parties. The Libertarian Party has filed suit asking the court to strike down the law as unconstitutional. I suspect that the law is unconstitutional, and the judge will find that that is the case. But for every law that there is like this that they managed to catch, there's one that goes through that they didn't catch. Let's talk about the McCain-Feingold bill, for instance. John McCain, yes, that guy who's running for president. Well, those people do not want to see a third party, a fourth party, or whatever party. As far as I'm concerned, there's no God-given right for the Republicans and the Democrats to be able to give us the choices like we had in 2004 between Bush and Kerry. As far as I'm concerned, that was the choices just like they said on South Park. It was a choice between a giant crap sandwich and a giant, well, female hygiene device. These political parties are in bed together. It's just two sides of the same big government coin. And they want to exclude anybody who might rain on their little parade. I don't know about you, but I think the idea of having a third, fourth, fifth party is healthy. I want that to happen. And I certainly don't want Republicans and Democrats getting out there and voting to exclude the third parties. I think that that's wrong. I think it's anti-American. I think it's disgusting. I think anybody who voted for that, we should have a referendum. What are you doing voting for that? We did not vote you in so that you could, make the little party your own little party. That's wrong. Represent me. And I say that I want a third party in there. I want choices. Here's a very strange little story. And I'm not sure exactly how I feel about it, so don't expect me to come down on either side. 3 men charged in killing a rabbit. Rabbit. How many rabbits have been killed in New Hampshire in the last 300 years? Lots. 3 men face felony charges over allegations they tortured and decapitated a rabbit at the beach last summer. Tell me a rabbit that doesn't get that somebody kills and eats and doesn't decapitate, okay? The men, 36-year-old Robert Freeman of Plainville, Connecticut, and 26-year-old Kevin of Massachusetts, and somebody of Massachusetts here. I don't really care who the guys' names are. It's Rockingham County grand jury. Authorities say they were first notified of the alleged incident in August when someone called the police to say they had been seen abusing a rabbit at the state park in Rye. Police say days later a video posted on YouTube appeared to be a recording of that incident. I think torturing animals is bad and wrong. No doubt about it. But one person's torture is another person's slaughter, right? Now, slaughter has a terrible meaning for it, but every one of those cows that you ate the hamburger of was slaughtered. Every one of those pigs that you ate a pork chop from was slaughtered. And every chicken that you had a leg from was slaughtered. And assuming you eat lamb, fish. I guess fish aren't really slaughtered, they just kind of lay there until they die. But I'm sure it's no fun in there, the drowning to death is no fun, and I guess it's just the same way for a fish that has no water. So, animals dying to feed us is one thing. Now, there's no indication that this rabbit was eaten, which I think is a terrible waste. I don't know that I consider it a felony, but I do consider it a waste to kill a rabbit and not eat it. So, I would just say be careful with these sorts of things. I don't think that somebody should go to jail. I don't want to spend money to put somebody in jail who tortures an animal, kills an animal. I mean, as reprehensible as it might be, I just don't think it's right because there's no real dividing line. Essentially what this is a thought crime. It's absolutely a thought crime. They tortured the rabbit, decapitated it, and didn't eat it. But if I were to slaughter a pig on my farm, I have no pigs. I really don't have a farm. But if I were to do so, well, that would be okay. if I were to do such a thing, I would try to alleviate the animal's suffering as best I could. But I don't know. It's dangerous business playing around with this animal stuff. And I have another unrelated, but sort of related in the fact that it's animals story. And this is not a new story, but it is out of a recent paper, and I guess there's more developments. Galveston, Texas. This is just to draw parallels. It has nothing to do with locally. Jurors on Thursday began weighing the fate of a prominent bird watcher who is accused of animal cruelty for shooting a cat that lived under a bridge. The trial has sparked hot internet debate between cat lovers who decry Jim Stevens' actions and birders upset by the toll feral cats take on bird species. It's also raised questions about what makes an animal a pet, especially if it lives outside. Now, this cat, apparently a park ranger had been feeding this cat, so therefore it was claimed that the cat was in fact, titled a pet. And, I don't know. I mean, a lot of I've fed feral cats before. I haven't had a lot of luck petting them. Could a pet be something you don't pet? I suppose. People have things they don't pet. I have goldfish. I guess they're pets. I really don't think of them the same way as I think of my big fat cat, Senor Grouchy Pants. I love him. But the fish, I just like to look at them. So I think that people are emotionally involved here. In the case of this gentleman who is Jim Stevens, right here, here's this little picture. All I can tell you about Jim Stevens is he needs a shave. Jim Stevens, well, he shot the cat when it was actually, he claims, going after an endangered bird. So here you have feral cats, of which there are aplenty. And in an endangered bird, which, who gets to decide these things are endangered or not, it's a tough situation. I don't think shooting a cat is, by any stretch of the imagination, animal cruelty. I think that cat populations probably need to be controlled, the same as any other populations of any animals. You have too many deers, and you're in big trouble. I don't know. Just something for you guys to weigh out for yourselves. I want you to think about these things. All right, on to very important news. Within the next 2 months, we will be deciding on who the next president of the United States will be. That's right. We here in New Hampshire were endowed by God with the ability to decide who the next president of the United States will be. It is very, very unlikely that whomever we vote in as the winner of our primary will not be the president. So, well, one side or the other, right? But you got to win New Hampshire in order to be the president, usually. There's a couple of cases where that's not so, and they've been relatively recent, so it makes one wonder if God's not looking on us the way he used to. Either way, still our primary is very, very important for the national outcome. Here's a picture of Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton. They're both looking different ways, as though they're on different sides of a coin. They're torn between issues. Well, they're not. It's the same crap over and over again. Hillary and Barack, there's not a dime's bit of difference between them. Barack's running on this sort of New Hope thing, which, it sounds great and everything, but really, what's the plan? He hasn't done a very good job of outlining that. He has done a good job of doing sort of PR. Here he is juggling work and family. He's looking pensively at a group of, I'm assuming, working mothers as they speak out about their struggles. He's listening. He cares. Barack Obama cares. Well, I'm sure they all care, right? They care until they get in, because Barack was not here listening to what working mothers had to say before the campaign. And I doubt very seriously he's in Illinois listening to working mothers very often either. All he wants to do is win the presidency, and then he doesn't care anymore. He's not going to listen to working moms. He's going to be shut off in the White House doing whatever it is that he feels like doing. So here's my take on the presidential get-together. First, I want to read this last one here. Rudy and Pat. There's been a lot of talk recently about Rudy Giuliani's coup in getting Pat Robertson presidential endorsement. The pundits say that this will attract lots of Republican voters teetering on the far right. Its effect on normal voters may be another matter. Now, I think it's reprehensible that Pat Robertson endorsed Rudy Giuliani. Rudy Giuliani is pro-abortion or pro-choice. Pat Robertson's obviously very anti. Now, Rudy's kind of softened his stance since he's running for president, but to compromise one's principles in this manner is disgusting. Okay? Now, I personally believe that we are far better off with having legalized abortions than not. I think that abortion is the ending of a human life, but we've had abortions be illegal in the past, and we know what we get. We get doctors put in prison. We get young women killed by their uteruses being punctured by wire coat hangers. Disgusting stuff. Bad things. But that doesn't change the fact that something that's very important to Pat Robertson, he's compromised in order to endorse Rudy Giuliani. Why has he endorsed that? I would assume because he's more scared of a Democrat getting into power than a Republican. Now, apparently, if he's willing to compromise his beliefs on abortion, in fact, Pat Robertson is more scared of Democrats than he is of God. Do you understand? He's more scared of a Democrat getting into office, so he's willing to compromise his principles, his religious principles, that he believes that God has given to him, in order to get a Republican in. That is sick. Okay. So here's my beliefs. Rudy Giuliani, not going to win, can't win. He's pro-abortion, pro-abortion, pro-choice. That's not going to play with the a base of the Republican Party. Just can't go. Fred Thompson, no traction. It's not going anywhere. He's not convincing people. John McCain supports this awful war that is draining the American economy. Bad idea. Hillary Clinton. I think she's likely to be the nominee on the Republican side, on the Democrat side. I think Barack Obama, maybe 2012, 2016, he might be a good VP for her, but a choice for her, but not gonna. I don't think he's going to be able to beat the Hillinator. And John Edwards, he's got perfect hair, I must say. I really respect John Edwards' hair. But he's not going anywhere. So, who's that leave for me? I'm kind of, back and forth kind of guy. I don't really like either one of the parties. I think that they're all out there to get their candidate in who can filch as much money out of our pockets as possible. It leaves me with Ron Paul. Ron Paul is a Republican. Now, I'm by no means some kind of pulpit-pounding Republican. He happens to be a Republican. He's a veteran. Only John McCain can claim that. He is against the Iraq War. He's against all kinds of government programs. Pretty much any government program that's out there where they're just stealing money from people and the government's operating on an unconstitutional basis. The federal government does not have the basis to do so many things that it's doing. And as far as I'm concerned, it's fine and dandy that they do it. Let's just change the Constitution, shall we? I mean, if the Constitution is the rule book by which we run this government, well, let's play by the rules. Doesn't that make sense? Well, they haven't. The government's just grown, and it's beyond a constitutional basis. And then they stuff the Supreme Court with whomever they wish. They're little lackeys who are going to say whatever they want. So now the Supreme Court says, oh yeah, it's constitutional. And the Supreme Court, I can read this thing. I've read this Constitution back to front over and over again. And all I see is that the federal government is operating on an unconstitutional basis. So you're on either side of the coin, right? You're a Republican or you're a Democrat. If you're a Republican, I would urge you to vote for Ron Paul. He is the best candidate, best conservative out there. If you're a Democrat, I would urge you to vote for Ron Paul. Why? What kind of craziness is that? Let me tell you. Because you're likely going to get Hillary Clinton. And if you don't get Hillary Clinton, you're going to get one of the other people. whom you will all vote for. Right? You're a Democrat, you'll vote for Hillary, you'll vote for Dodd, you'll vote for Gravel, whatever his name is, you'll vote for Obama, you'll vote for Edwards, you'll vote for any of them. They're Democrats, that's what I do, I vote for the Democrat. For president. Now voting in the primary doesn't make the person the president. They just chooses who's going to be the big one, the one that's going to run. Now, wouldn't you prefer to have Ron Paul, anti-war, and whichever Democrat, than picking which Democrat it is and then ending up with Giuliani? Now, the Democrats are either going to win or they're going to lose. Wouldn't you prefer the loss be Ron Paul, anti-war, than Giuliani or McCain or somebody like this who's going to just get us mired further into this war? And I wonder, speaking of the war, which I think is a terrible idea, obviously, I wonder what are the Democrats going to think? The people that are out there, on the Central Square with their "Let's get out of the war" posters, which I beep when I go by, beep, beep, beep. What are they going to think when we're still occupying Iran 2 years into the Clinton administration? Are they going to be as anti-war as they were? Because we're not fighting a war over there. We're really just occupying. I mean, there's some insurgency going on and that kind of thing, but we won the war years ago. A war is a conflict between powers, and that power that was Iraq is gone. So now we're essentially doing policing in a very dangerous place, but policing nonetheless. And when you have soldiers doing policing, you have problems. It doesn't work out terribly well. It's kind of like having the cooks take the orders at the restaurant. You should really have waiters and waitresses to do that. They're far better qualified. So, vote for Ron Paul, either way. Here's a washing panel that says that you can expect the war costs to soar. They're estimated at a total of $1.6 trillion. Trillion. Billionaire Warren Buffett says, "Tax me." He got in front of the Senate here and said, "Please, it's guys like me that need to carry a tax burden." No, Mr. Buffett's a philanthropist and likes to give away money. But the government's a very poor charity. They're very inefficient. They don't do nearly as good a job as the American Red Cross or the American Cancer Society or any of these other organizations. We should leave charity to charities and allow people to give to those organizations who will spend that money much more efficiently than giving it to the government, who's going to fritter it away. A good percentage, something like 60 to 70%, is going to go on wages for government workers. Middle-class government bureaucrats, not the people that need the money. My name's Mark Edgington. If you got any questions, you can give me an email at mark@freekeene.com. Please listen to my radio show, Free Talk Live, every Saturday night from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. on WKBK 1290. Thanks.